Well, good morning. I'm sitting here watching spring planting videos. Some of them are pretty damn good, some of them ain't. The lack of experience is what I call it. They got the drive and the ambition, but they don't have the experience. I was watching one woman, she was having trouble with her seeds coming up after they was 2 or 3 years old, and I did make a comment on her channel to make a willow tea. It's a root starter or a seed starter. And what you do is you just take the branches about that much off before the end. I always take the leaves off of it, and I cut them in little chunks like that, and I put them in on a pot, and I let them, not really what's called boil, but let them sit there and warm up and simmer, and then let them cool down and get all the sap out of the little sticks and twigs, and then pour it off and make a tea out of it. That's what makes it fantastic root starter, better than you can buy in the store. And I'll take dip my roots in it and then plant them, and then they'll grow real fast. Or I'll take and mist it with my sprayer between two pieces of paper towel or wash rag or whatever you want to call it. And then they'll sprout, and then you can plant them that way. But I make my own root starter back in the day. We didn't have to run, we didn't go run to the store, and, well, we didn't have a damn store to make things grow and start and all that stuff. Like growing sweet potatoes. Now, I can grow a ton of sweet potatoes in about an 8 by 8 by 8 foot tall or 6 foot tall enclosure with poles. You run them together like that, and in the gaps, that's when you put your starters for your sweet potato, and then on top, and keep it with hay and fertilizer and so on and so forth. When you pull the logs apart, all you got left is a little bit of dirt, a little bit of rotted hay, and a lot of sweet potatoes. But I like to watch young people learning how to grow stuff in the spring. We had our frost, my eyeball. I've got to get to the doctor and see what's wrong with it. But we had a big heavy frost last night. There's frost on the pumpkin. My onions out there, I could have covered them up, but the greens up of them, but I'll just chop them back off, and if they didn't make it, and let them leaf out again, I just cut the shives off of them, and that's what I like to put on my omelets and stuff. But anyway, I was sitting there watching a lot of them figure out how to do this and how to do that, and the little old greenhouses. And now I can raise for meat. If you're going to raise a lot of meat that don't cost much to raise, rabbits is a good one. I can take a 12-foot pin, 12 by 12 by 12, go back in 2 foot, dig down the depth of a bale of hay, and then straw, and then put it in there, and then the next layer up, I leave a little gap like that between it and the next bale, put a couple of bales of alfalfa in there, and the rest of it straw, put 10 does and 2 bucks, and by August, you tear it all down and clean it all up, and I always put a chicken wire over the small chicken wire over the outside of the chain link fence, and on the top, so hawks and stuff can't get my rabbits, my newborns, and you got hundreds and hundreds of pounds of rabbits when you tear it back down. They'll quit breeding in July and stuff, and then by the end of August, when you tear it down, they'll still be big enough. The youngest ones will be good fryers, but you don't have to raise them in individual pens like most people want you to do that. Nah. But like I said, there's depends on what kind of meat you want to raise. You know, a cow has to have like 5 acres in some places just so it can graze. If you don't go to feed it in a stall or a feedlot. But I like to watch the new people grow stuff. I don't grow much anymore, just maybe a few onions or something like that. Some garlic. Something don't take too much work. If I ain't around, it ain't gonna be that much of a deal if it don't get enough water and die. But because I do a lot of camping and traveling. But I like to watch the young people learn and experiment. Yeah. Back in our day, we had to grow that stuff to keep them starving to death. Now, if you ever been over in, let's see, Tibet, they raise a lot of guinea pigs. They eat them. Now, guinea pigs easy to grow, or raise, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, if you like guinea pigs, it's like a rat, basically. Yeah, in Vietnam and stuff, hell, they eat a lot of rat. Hell, down in Louisiana, Mississippi, down in there, they eat them, water muskrat, big old looking rat, and grows in the swamp. Muskrat stew. Down there in Alabama and New Orleans, and down in there. You'd be surprised what people can raise. Like a rattlesnake roundup. I never did like eating snake. But like I said, raising rabbits, there's a difference between a rabbit and a hare. You can go look and Google that up if you want to. But like I said, raising rabbits in a enclosure like that, they pretty well take care of themselves. And then like I said, I don't keep none of that stock hardly. If I do, I'll keep 10 does and then go get $2 from somewhere else and start the process all over again. Being by myself, there's no sense in raising hundreds and hundreds of pounds of rabbit. But if you're gonna, they quit selling them commercial because they used to have to leave the feed on them because a cat and a rabbit's about the same. If you butcher it up, you can't tell the difference between a domestic cat and a rabbit. And that's the truth. But like I said, I like to watch the young people come up with ideas that they've got. I've tried a lot of things and some things I say, oh, that ain't gonna work. But I like to see if you, you might get you might get a start out of it, or it might work for you, but it never did work for me. I don't raise no gardens no more. I don't raise no stock. Got these Chihuahua puppies, and that's about it. They've all had their treat this morning. Big boy staring at me. He wants me to let him go back outside and play in the frost. I put a towel down so they could run across it and dry their feet off. So that way I don't have to catch them and dry their feet. They just run across that towel. Get the best old fluffy towel you got and spread it out. And time they run across the length of a beach towel, their feet pretty well dry. That way they won't make tracks on your kitchen floor and stuff. Well, then you just wash the towel about every 3 days, throw down a new one. But now I watch them plant their gardens and this and that. I never was crazy about flowers. I raised a lot of flowers for my wife. She loved flowers. And when she passed away, I threw them all out. I got tired of them. And I don't raise anything anymore. But try that sweet potato if you want to raise a bunch of sweet potatoes. start off with something like that. You don't have to make it 8 foot by 8 foot by 8 foot, 8 foot tall. You can start off with a 4 foot, about the size of a pallet. I use landscape timbers, untreated. I used to use old post oak poles. You don't want treated poles because that Chris oak and stuff will kill your plants. You don't want anything treated. And like I said, you just stack your poles like that, and the gap between them is where you stick all your starters, and then on top, and they just keep it well watered. I put like you can put straw and manure. That's what I did, and a little bit of dirt. You know, I usually get my compost dirt out of my compost pile. You know, but like I said, we used to raise about an 8 by 8 is about as far as you can push it. But like I said, I always skipped the very bottom, and went up a little bit. But you gotta watch and make sure it's plenty of water on it. It will take the water. And your rabbits, I had automatic feeder on them. And when you could tell how many rabbits you was getting by how empty your automatic feeder was the next day. They'll do more of their eating at night. Now, I built a 12-foot pen, went back in 2 foot, dug down the depth of a bale of straw, laid it completely full all the way around, and then the next one, which would be even with the dirt, I left spaces about like that so they could run in there. And I'd always put a couple of bales of alfalfa in the center, space them away from each other. And then on top of that, I put another deal of straw all the way around like a fort. I didn't go in the center. I just put it all the way around the edges, And that way the young ones would get up in the top and play and jump and bounce around. And then the chain link fence, I made it 6 foot tall so I could get in there if I had to. And then I put that real fine, let's say, 1 inch or ½ inch chicken wire over the top of the chain link. And then you always have to put a top on it because hawks and stuff will get them. You don't have to really worry about too much about snakes or this, that, and the other. The rabbit pretty well can defend itself, especially if you make the holes, about ½ inch across, about no bigger than 1 inch chicken wire. And that way they can pretty well kill that. If you make it 4 inches, a big old snake get in there, a black snake. But usually if a small snake got in there about like your finger, they could kill it off pretty fast. And they will eat, rabbit will eat, besides, your rabbit feed, this, that, and the other. I put greens in there, but they will eat small, like bugs and stuff like that. You'd be surprised what they'll eat. But, I had good luck with that. You put them up there, and I always started mine right about, I'd wait after August till September, at the end of September, and start back. And then I bred them all the way till depends on where you're at, but once it cooled off, I'd put 10 does and 2 bucks. And then about June, how hot it was, they'd quit breeding. They'll stop their breeding, and then by August, you tear it all down and start over again. Give yourself about 30 days to clean it back up to start back. I'd do that in about the middle of August, and then get it all clean by the end of September and start back when it cooled off. Well, I better let you go. I just thought I'd tell you that. There's all kinds of ways to raise. You can raise Irish potatoes and a trash can. I raised mine between deals of newspaper. Throw a little potting soil in there. And that way it wasn't hard to clean it up. better let you go. I'm going to watch some more videos of these people starting their spring gardens. Take care. Have that great day. Subscribe if you haven't. Hit the bell. Give me a comment. And have a great one.